Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is yours truly, and we are live, I believe. Let me check. Sure that we are in fact live. We are actually having some technical difficulties. Oh. If you can hear me, I'm gonna ask Tech right here. And we are supposed to be able to see me now. Can you? Do we have confirmation that you can all hear me or see me and everything? I hope so. Alright, so here is the format for today's thing. Alright, here's the set list. Right there is a bit of a lag. Thanks, Don, for the comment there. I'm going to spread this link around. Alright, and we are live, everybody. And that's it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Alright, so the first poem I'm reading today is called The Scouring. I really sort of got the idea of the poem from this passage in The Lord of the Rings, particularly Return of the King at the very end when they have to go back to the Shire and it's all been industrialized. And then the hobbits rise up and defeat the bad guys, and yay! And that's how it ends, right? It ends with the Shire being returned to its original home. So for the first poem, The Scouring, and here we go. Alright, here we are. And, okay, so, sorry, just having to make a few last-minute adjustments. I passed from landscape to landscape. The road cutting to the land like a scar, power lines forever marring the landscape. The wires stretching like a fence to keep the piney woods in. The cities and towns overgrow their bounds like a flooding river bursting its banks. Each time a piece of our world dies, culprit humanity's mistake. So that's that poem. Very sort of down, depressing. It's the beginning. All right, that's what that poem's about. And if you have any comments, if you can see the live chat, which you should be able to see, I click on this little button. There should be a bar on the side for the live chat. If you can see it, comment it, or comment on the video, and I will get to you in enough time. All right. Next poem is The Blindfold. The Blindfold, this poem came specifically from, there's this memorial called the Shot at Dawn Memorial. It's in England somewhere, I forget. And it's of a soldier, dressed in sort of World War I uniform, being tied to a post with a blindfold on, about to be shot. And the idea is that soldiers at the time were shot for cowardice, but also for pretty much any minor infraction in order to keep the ones who did not infract on the rules afraid enough to stay in the color within the lines, as you would. So this is the blindfold. The soldier's hand is unsteady as the order comes to raise and fire, but his target is still, tied to a post a few yards away, blindfolded and waiting for the shot. The deserter, tired of the rigors of combat, the rigors that accompany combat, fled his duty despite never wishing to serve. 5 men, their rifles trained with maybe one empty cartridge loaded to assuage their guilt. It does not matter to the condemned who stands ready. To him, they are all the same and not. The blindfold protects him as much as them. They cannot see his fear, and he cannot see theirs. That's the blindfold. And yeah, that's that poem. Let me check to see if there is anything going on in the live chat. What's there? Alright, great. Okay. I'm going to check the video real quick to see where we are in the lag. Okay. Alright. This next poem is called Letter to the Sandman. This poem, you may remember, a friend of mine, her name is Alex Skye. She and I met on a forum a long time ago. She did a recording of the song set to music that she made, that she wrote. She did the music, I did the work. She did a really good job, I think. So the song was inspired by the song, I can't remember the name of the song. I think Mr. Sandman is the name of the song. It's a song by the sort of a doo-wop group from the 1950s, and it's about, you know, they're asking for their dream spouse or whatever to bring that, and, you know, really happy and everything. So this is Letter to the Sandman. There we are. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream, please. Just bring me a dream. You never come visiting anymore, Sandman. I keep my eyes wide open, waiting for a sprinkle of sand to make me sleep, but you never show. I'm being stood up by the Sandman. It'll be awkward for sure when you show up offering no explanation, just a handful of dust and hopefully a dream. Lately, when I do sleep, I don't have dreams. I have nightmares. Some demonic band provides the soundtrack made up of broken music boxes and untuned pianos and screeching violins and bells, bells, bells so loud that I vibrate from within, matching their sequence with my pounding headache. Mr. Sandman, where are you now? I have been waiting and I don't know how you can just leave me out in the cold. I hate to tell you, but this shit's getting old. And that is Mr. Sandman, Letter to the Sandman. By yours truly. And that's the third poem for today. I will tell you guys that there's going to be a brand new poem that I have not yet ever published anywhere that will be read at I think it's the last poem today. It's really bad. I have to check my list. But yeah, it's poem 139. Great with titles, right? It's number 13 for today. But this next poem is 135, actually, and it's sort of a question of identity and a little sort of. I had a sort of minor crisis, sort of months and months ago, and it happened in the middle of like this really bad storm, and this is the result of that. Okay, so poem 135. Questions of self don't just happen at midnight in the middle of a storm. These miniature existential crises last for days on end. Each moment spent in a peculiar anxiety, stomach tense, mind humming like a crowded room, unable to find peace and silence with the little things that used to bring comfort. Now all is cactus, prickly and long, uncomfortable hours lounging or walking or sitting, struggling to find the motivation to do what needs to be done. Well, these are kind of short because I don't want to take up too much time, but that was yeah. And I have, everyone sort of has these kind of feelings about, you know, these deep sort of questions of self, and the anxiety that accompanies that is sort of part of becoming an adult nowadays, which I really shouldn't be, but it is. It's very strange. But yeah, that's what that's about. This next one is called On Hurrian Hymn Number 6. Now, Hurrian Hymn Number 6 is the oldest partial collection of musical notation that is existent in the world, and it was to this. It was a hymn to this sort of god, this goddess on in ancient Mesopotamia that was the goddess of orchards and fruit and fields, and you'd sort of pray to God and hope that you got really, really great harvests and protecting fires and floods and whatnot. So, but this is the I heard you can listen. You can go look it up on YouTube later. Not right now. Later, after I'm done. Then you may have my permission to leave. Captive audience. But you can listen to this music. And it's really haunting. It's a really haunting and beautiful melody. And I heard it from a Vlogbrothers video. Hank Green did a video and he mentioned it, and he didn't play this song, but he mentioned it. And I went and Googled it and listened to it. It was really pretty. So I wrote this poem about that. This also sort of fits into the Friday the 13th thing, and I have a lot of friends who aren't what you could call Christian, more like pagans and whatnot, and they're all freaking out because there's going to be a big full moon on Friday the 13th. Everybody's excited, hippy-dippy about that. Well, that's bad. Perfectly fine. But here we are on Hurrian Hymn Number 6. The plucked lyre, such old sounds in such new ways. Across the world, in the deep recesses of our memory, a goddess stirs. She hears the haunting melody once played for her by those who worshipped and prayed for harvest and to keep the orchards safe. She remembers the feet they used to throw, and now, all but forgotten, she is dormant. Such is the way of things. The old gods forgotten, the new ones praised higher than any gods before them, but the old gods remember. The old gods remember. That's on Hurrian Hymn Number 6. Thank you very much. Okay, this next poem is called, once again, a fantastic title, Poem 137. Once again, I got this idea on this. I'm a history major, many of you may know, and as a history major, I kind of, I spend a lot of time reading history books, and there's like these really great there's places throughout history that everybody remembers. Battle of Marathon, for instance, Battle of Hastings, which are mentioned, and various other incidents throughout history where the battles or great things happen, or terrible things sometimes happen, and then everybody sort of, there's like a reverence to these places. And if you've ever been to a place like this, it's kind of creepy. Like there was a in Texas, for instance, since the Battle of Sabine Pass was fought during the Civil War. They have they did an excavation. They found the old the bunkers and the fortresses that the little forts that were built to defend the Sabine Pass, which is this little river, against the coming fleet from the Union during the Civil War. And this is the and if you ever go to one of these places, it's really strange because everybody's really quiet, really soft-spoken, whispering and stuff, and you're sort of like, oh, this is interesting because like you can sort of feel the history, I guess they don't go back and describe it. But this is poem 137. I wonder if there are ghosts at places, the lingering imprints of war or death or loss or triumph. At Marathon, is there a messenger still delivering word of victory, still running across the landscape, heart near to bursting but not quite there yet? At Hastings, are there Saxon men-at-arms holding the shield wall while their wives and children wait for them to come home? At Runnymede, are there barons still stalking the landscape, searching for King John? John waits in his tent, hand poised above the parchment, not quite willing to touch pen to paper. At Lexington and Concord are Minutemen in redcoats still squaring off, not willing to fire their muskets yet. Are there people gathered trying to find their loved ones too long away from home? The slave docks in Washington, are there still mothers still crying as their babies are torn from their sides to be sold like so many cattle and shipped half a world away? The eerie silence of these places drives me half insane, so of course I avoid them, but at night I visit them in my dreams and see all the faces of the dead. They beg me to help them, but I can't. And that is 137. But yeah, so what happens when I visit these kind of places that get strange stuff? This next poem is called The Bending of the Bending. I think it's The Bending of Light, The Bending of the Light. I can't remember. I am a really bad poet because I can't really. It's The Bending of Light. Ding. So Bending of Light, which is sort of it's about my girlfriend kind of and our relationship and how and sort of the way she looked one night. I saw her and I was like, oh, I have to write a poem about that. And she can't be here today. And I'm kind of glad because if I read this poem, she'd punch me in the face. So here we are, the bending of light. I like the way light bends around you. There's a glow as if you are a medieval angel in an illuminated manuscript, each curve shining out, a deep furrow in the world, a wood carving, a pixel edge. Noticing you has led me to find the beauty where there is none. In ugly industrial towns, train whistles honking out their mournful tunes at 4 in the morning. But no bent light, no matter how bright, will glow. It's you. And there we go. That's the bending of light. Sap, sap, sap. Okay. Next poem. This next one's called The Quiet Days. Once again, I have a nervous complaint, you could say, and because I'm got this nervous complaint, I tend to be sort of anxious mostly all the time, and I'm a nail biter and all that sort of business. A lip chewer, which you've seen me do probably if you've watched this video long enough. So this is a poem about quiet days. I don't like quiet. I like to have some noise in the background, music or TV or something. All right, the quiet days. I do not like the quiet days. The uneasy stillness that sits heavy on my chest like some beast in a dream. The creeping silence, the calm before the storm, hanging on the precipice of something much larger and greater than myself. Minutes last hours on quiet days, and hours feel like years, and days like centuries. The anxiety in the air smells like ozone, the coppery scent of aerosol blood. I do not like the quiet days, but this one, and it stretches from here towards whenever. And that is Quiet Days. Next poem is called I, the Pale Horse. And it is, the story of this is kind of interesting. There are these people, I can't remember what they're calling, but they're the people who in America, I think, I don't know if they do this in other countries, but in America, they sort of put Bibles in hotel rooms for free, and and if they're on college campus, they handed me a Bible. And I was like, well, thank you. And because how you refuse that? You don't refuse that. So the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 8, is the one about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And the 4th horseman is death and rides a pale horse. And so this is I, the Pale Horse, on Revelation chapter 6, verse 8. I am the pale horse, unwilling participant in the end of the world, death, my rider, and I, at the head of our army of twisted souls and fallen angels. It shocks me how my burden can be simultaneously light as a feather and the heaviest weight I can bear. Death sits heavy on my back and on my conscience as we ride. I cannot stand my rider with his body of smoke, his hands reaching, taking lives as we move at full gallop, knowing deep down that death will take me too. That is as a pit horse. That's what that poem is about. So the next poem, once again, is poem 133. I'm very good at titles, as you can tell myself. Poem 133 is this poem here, and we're getting into the last few, I believe. Good time. I love you very much. But anyway, so this is poem 133, and I got this idea mainly because there was a school shooting the day that they did this, that I wrote this poem, and then at the day that there was a school shooting, there was also the grass was being cut along campus, and I sort of, for some reason, it captivated me the way a mower works, you know, slicing and just literally just cutting the heads off the blades of grass. And so this is the poem that I wrote in response to those two events. Poem 103. The brittle stalks peeping up from the ground are cut down before they bloom. Too soon, too soon. Each slice of the mower's blade a massacre. Each pass of the grumbling machine an isolated genocide. Generations had by spitting steel. We throw away our own as easily as we cut grass, hacking away no less care taken than with the ease of a gardener at his work. That's poem. Next poem. This next poem is actually very old. I think it's 2 or 3 years old at this point. I was feeling really bad one day, and so I wrote this poem to help me deal with sort of not sleeping and having a migraine and that sort of stuff. So this poem is called Round After Round, and this is that's the title of the poem, and this is. I wish sometimes that I were a boxer. Golden glove and shorts in the ring, fist up, jab, weave, jab, uppercut, not quite a knockout. Why? Because I feel right now that I've been going round after round with myself. My body is tired beyond description, my ears are slightly ringing from that jarring hit to the side of the head, almost blind in one eye, swollen from that cracked face. I keep on pressing ahead, round after round with myself. My head feels like multiple concussions. I can't take much more, but if I throw in the towel, hit after hit sustained, more pain than I can say, round after round with myself. I won't give in. Nothing like I have anything to lose anyway. That's very correct. This next poem is once again a little sap. So get ready, people. This poem is dedicated to Shaylin Dickens and Andrew Newton, 2 of my friends from high school. They have been dating since like middle school or something. It's a ridiculously long time. And Andrew finally popped the question and asked Shaylin to marry her. There's this really sweet thing that they posted on YouTube. And of course, me being me, I watched the video and they're like, "Oh, feelings." I just got a text message and that's what I answered. Whoa, feelings. So of course I have to answer, right? So I have to respond to this video, which is all cute and everything. So this is it. It's called Precognition. To SD and AN. I saw this coming a long way off. I needed no scrying glass, no rune stones, nor to gaze into the brazier and look into the flames. No forms of divination were necessary for me to see the way you looked at one another. The love in your eyes always threatened to spill over like a cup too full with water, but you can never be too full with love. A ring on your finger, ever-present reminder of the fact that you will be united for all time and the happiness that you will bring to everyone who looks upon your faces. You do not need it, but let these paltry words remind you to. No precognition was needed to see this. I'm glad I did. Congratulations. That's that, right? So we're getting this is the very last poem we're going to read. This has not lasted nearly as long as I thought it would. But, okay. So the last poem is called The Endlings. An endling, if you don't know, is the last member of a species. Like George the Galapagos turtle, the giant tortoise who died a couple of years ago. There's a few other. I think there's one's called Clarissa, the Pyrenean ibex who died in 2002. And like these, I got this idea when I was on vacation, sort of earlier last week. I spent a weekend at my grandparents' house, and which is kind of out in the country, so we actually see animals. Here, we don't have a yard or bird feeders or anything, so we don't really get to see birds. But we did see some birds, and my grandmother was like, she asked me to identify a bird for her that she didn't know what it was, and we didn't have her little guidebook, Birds of Texas thing. So I went out and said, okay, I'm going to figure it out by looking at pictures on the internet, because that's what we do. And I thought it was we decided it was a mourning dove, but and on the way somehow I found myself looking at passenger pigeons. Passenger pigeons were this really popular species, species in the millions and millions that lived until the end of the 19th century, when they were virtually wiped out by human beings and deforestation. And so my whole thought is that, species go extinct every year, or almost every year anyway, from human destruction, habitation, greed, whatever. So this poem is about that. It's called this poem 139, and this is the last poem of the day, and then I'll let you guys leave. So this poem is dedicated to the endlings, those final members of their kind who I remember when I see their cousins. For whatever reason, you were wiped from the earth, swept aside in the rush of progress like so much dust. Whatever the reason was, it wasn't good enough. Glass steel cages built for humanity took your lives. In our search for dominance and divinity, we have lost touch with what is divine. In our hurry to take command of the earth and its creatures, we forgot that we are just like you. And the day that the last human, Homo sapiens sapiens, takes a final breath, whatever has risen above us shall say, what a shame we didn't do. That's it. That's the end of the poem. Because that's what a lot of people seem to say when they hear that kind of stuff, is that, they're ashamed that it's such a shame that they couldn't do more. It's just something I thought I'd write about. So that's it. It's been about half an hour. I didn't keep you that long. Next time I'll keep you long. But yeah, so 13 poems for Friday the 13th. Everybody, thank you so much for staying to see me and everything. I'm going to stop the broadcast now. Have a great afternoon.